So Beethoven's Symphony Number 9 is one of the most iconic and powerful pieces in Western classical music. Um, but if I were to like pick like a particular moment, I'd probably focus on like the Ode to Joy section, like from the final movement. Um, so yeah, the like it was pretty special. So the Ode to Joy like movement is kind of like a culmination of Beethoven's like exploration. Um, Kind of like of his like human like unity and like the triumph of like the human spirit. Um, and it's the first time in symphonic history that like a composer included a full choir in a symphony, blending voices and instruments in a groundbreaking way. Um, so I thought it was like really cool. Um, and the section begins like softly with the famous melody, like introduced by the cellos, double basses, and then kind of just like builds progressively, um, like adding voices and more instruments, until like the entire orchestra and the chorus like pretty much just like explode in joyful celebration. So I think that's like really cool. Um, and I feel like like something that like makes it like powerful, I would say. Um, it's probably just like the emotional depth, um, like the way Beethoven builds, like just from like a simple melody to a powerful, like full-bodied chorus, creates like just like a crazy, like emotional arc. Um, and the music feels like a journey from quiet, like contemplation to like kind of like triumphant, like exhalation. So yeah, and then I would also just say like why it's so powerful is probably just like the historical significance. Um, so like this symphony was composed like while Beethoven was like completely deaf, sorry. Which I feel like just makes it like that much cooler, like that much just more like insane that he was able to like pull this off and just what makes like the composition like so remarkable. Um, and it's kind of like a testament to like his like just like grit and like determination, kind of like his genius too. I mean, it's just so insane that he was able to do something like that. It was really cool. Um, but yeah, man, I would say like one fact that like kind of like shocked me or surprised me, um, probably like the like deaf fact, like that he was deaf. Um, because I mean, I just think that's so insane that like someone was able to compose a crazy symphony, like one of the most like famous symphonies in the world, and he like couldn't even like hear; he was completely deaf. Um, like, and by the time like he wrote Symphony Number 9, like he had lost all his hearing. Um, so he had to rely like completely on his inner ear, musical like imagination to kind of just like create these masterpiece, and I just feel like it's really remarkable. Um, yeah, I feel like it's just really cool. And then like how Beethoven's like music perceived during his life, like how was his music perceived like during his lifetime. I mean, it's kind of, you can kind of like break it down into like his early career, like the classical period. Um, in his early career, like Beethoven was often like compared to like Mozart, whose work he like kind of built upon in like the classical tradition, and he gained recognition from that. Um, and then there's kind of like the middle period or the heroic period. So like during Beethoven's so-called heroic period, like when he composed works like his Symphony Number 3, Symphony Number 5, his music became more ambitious, like both in like structure, I feel like, and emotional depth. Uh, so yeah, and then like um, some people were like confused, kind of, or like unsettled by like the complexity, I think, of his like compositions. So like that's kind of like the middle period. And then there's like the late periods, like post 1800. So like by this time, his music became like even more complex. And there's stuff like Symphony Number 9, like were very like far ahead of its time. It was kind of otherworldly, like with emotional intensity. It was really, really intense and complex. So those are kind of like the three like periods, like how people kind of like view / perceive his music. But yeah, I mean, Beethoven was kind of viewed with like admiration and respect. He had a lot of respect from people. He was kind of regarded as one of like the greatest composers of his time. He was not always fully understood, but he always like had like respect from people and like admiration of his work because it was so insane. But yeah.